Imagine your pantry as a fortress against the unpredictable. Inside, you'll find hard liquor, a timeless ally in crisis preparedness. This isn't just about the buzz. It's about the biochemical barrier it creates. Alcohol with a proof of 40% or higher, such as vodka or whiskey, acts as a potent antimicrobial agent. The high concentration of ethanol chemically dismantles the proteins that bacteria and other microorganisms need to survive. This means that once sealed and stored correctly, these spirits can remain safe and effective for an indefinite period. The key to their longevity lies in their ability to prevent any biological activity, ensuring they don't degrade or spoil. This isn't just about safety, it's about having a versatile resource. Hard liquor can serve as an antiseptic, a cleaning agent, and a vital component in emergency disinfection kits. The psychological comfort of knowing you have a reliable, long-lasting resource in your pantry cannot be overstated. It's not just about what you can drink, it's about what you can use to maintain hygiene and safety in uncertain times. So the next time you reach for that bottle, remember, it's not just a drink, it's a safeguard. Now let's explore another timeless pantry staple that offers both safety and sustenance.
Pure vanilla extract, a common ingredient in many kitchens, holds a unique place in the realm of food preservation. Unlike many other pantry items, pure vanilla extract contains a minimum of 35% alcohol by volume, making it a natural preservative. This alcohol content not only prevents spoilage, but also enhances the flavor profile over time. As the extract ages, the alcohol slowly extracts and deepens the aromatic compounds, leading to a richer, more complex flavor. This process is not just about taste. It's about the biochemical interactions that occur within the bottle. The alcohol acts as a solvent, continuously extracting and enriching the volatile compounds that give vanilla its distinctive aroma. This means that a bottle of pure vanilla extract can be stored indefinitely, provided it's kept in a cool, dark place away from heat and light. The psychological benefit of having such a versatile and long-lasting ingredient in your pantry is immense. It offers a sense of security and preparedness, knowing that you have a resource that can enhance your cooking and baking for years to come. So, the next time you're cooking, remember that every drop of vanilla extract you use is not just adding flavor, it's adding a layer of preparedness to your kitchen.
Salt, a mineral essential for life, plays a crucial role in food preservation and beyond. Unlike perishable foods, salt does not expire because it lacks organic matter that can degrade over time. This makes it an invaluable resource in any pantry. Salt's chemical stability is rooted in its inability to support microbial growth or undergo oxidation, making it a timeless preservative. However, the benefits of salt extend far beyond preservation. It's the foundation of curing, brining, and pickling processes that have been used for centuries to extend the shelf life of foods. Moreover, salt is vital for electrolyte replenishment, especially in times of crisis when access to fresh water and other sources of electrolytes may be limited. The psychological comfort of having a reliable source of salt in your pantry cannot be understated. It's not just about flavor, it's about maintaining essential bodily functions and health. So the next time you sprinkle salt on your food, remember that you're not just adding flavor, you're adding a layer of preparedness to your diet.
Apple cider vinegar with its cloudy mother is a testament to the power of natural preservation. The mother, a live colony of acetic acid bacteria, actively produces acetic acid, which creates an environment hostile to microbial growth. This means that apple cider vinegar remains fully usable for years, provided it's stored correctly. Unlike many other foods, apple cider vinegar doesn't just resist spoilage, it actively preserves itself. This natural preservation mechanism is not just about safety, it's about maintaining the quality and flavor of the product. The psychological benefit of having a resource that can be relied upon for years is immense. It offers a sense of security and preparedness, knowing that you have a versatile ingredient that can be used in cooking, cleaning, and even as a natural remedy. So, the next time you reach for a bottle of apple cider vinegar, remember that you're not just adding flavor to your food, you're adding a layer of preparedness to your pantry.
Distilled white vinegar, with its high acidity, is a prime example of a food product that remains stable and functional for decades. Its pH level, sitting around 2 to 3, creates an environment where bacteria cannot establish themselves, making it a natural preservative. This means that distilled white vinegar can be stored indefinitely, provided it's kept away from direct sunlight and heat. The psychological comfort of having a versatile and long-lasting ingredient in your pantry cannot be overstated. It offers a sense of security and preparedness, knowing that you have a resource that can be used in cooking, cleaning, and even as a natural disinfectant. So the next time you use distilled white vinegar, remember that you're not just adding flavor to your food, you're adding a layer of preparedness to your pantry. Dark chocolate, particularly those with a high percentage of cacao, can remain good for 2 to 5 years without refrigeration. This is due to the high concentration of cocoa solids and cocoa butter, which reduce moisture levels to a point where microbial activity becomes physically impossible. However, the real threat to dark chocolate isn't bacteria, it's heat. High temperatures can cause fat bloom, a separation of cocoa butter that changes texture without making the product unsafe. This means that while dark chocolate can last for years, its quality can be compromised by exposure to heat. The psychological benefit of having a long-lasting and energy-dense food in your pantry cannot be understated. It offers a sense of security and preparedness, knowing that you have a resource that can provide essential calories in times of need. So the next time you reach for a bar of dark chocolate, remember that you're not just enjoying a treat, you're adding a layer of preparedness to your pantry.
Soy sauce, a staple in many kitchens, is already fully preserved before it reaches your pantry. The fermentation process involves salt concentrations that kill most pathogens outright, making it a natural preservative. This means that soy sauce can be stored for years without refrigeration, provided it's kept away from sunlight and heat. The psychological comfort of having a versatile and long-lasting ingredient in your pantry cannot be overstated. It offers a sense of security and preparedness, knowing that you have a resource that can be used in cooking and as a natural preservative. So the next time you use soy sauce, remember that you're not just adding flavor to your food, you're adding a layer of preparedness to your pantry.
Ghee, a clarified butter, removes the water content that makes regular butter susceptible to spoilage. By driving off the moisture and milk solids, ghee creates a nearly pure fat that resists spoilage. This means that ghee can remain stable for months, provided it's stored correctly. The psychological comfort of having a versatile and long-lasting ingredient in your pantry cannot be understated. It offers a sense of security and preparedness, knowing that you have a resource that can be used in cooking and as a natural preservative. So the next time you use ghee, remember that you're not just adding flavor to your food, you're adding a layer of preparedness to your pantry. Coconut oil, with its high concentration of saturated fats, is a prime example of a food product that remains stable and functional for years. Saturated fats resist oxidation far more effectively than polyunsaturated fats, making coconut oil a natural preservative. This means that coconut oil can be stored for years without going rancid, provided it's kept away from heat and light. The psychological comfort of having a versatile and long-lasting ingredient in your pantry cannot be understated. It offers a sense of security and preparedness, knowing that you have a resource that can be used in cooking and as a natural preservative. So the next time you use coconut oil, remember that you're not just adding flavor to your food, you're adding a layer of preparedness to your pantry.
Pure maple syrup, a natural sweetener, contains no synthetic preservatives and protects itself through its high sugar content. This means that pure maple syrup can be stored for years without going bad, provided it's kept away from heat and light. The psychological comfort of having a versatile and long-lasting ingredient in your pantry cannot be understated. It offers a sense of security and preparedness,
knowing that you have a resource that can be used in cooking and as a natural preservative. So the next time you use maple syrup, remember that you're not just adding flavor to your food, you're adding a layer of preparedness to your pantry.
Significantly. Whole leaves retain potency much longer than powdered forms because less surface area contacts air. Properly stored herbs, including oregano and thyme, remain flavorfully usable for 2 to 3 years or more. Number 13, green tea. Dry tea leaves don't decompose. There isn't enough moisture for biological decay mechanisms to begin. The relevant question isn't safety, it's quality. The cacans, antioxidants, and aromatic compounds that make green tea valuable are degraded by 3 things: light, oxygen, and humidity. Not time itself, vacuum-sealed tins or airtight opaque containers away from kitchen steam. Research confirms measurable antioxidant concentrations maintained well beyond standard commercial shelf life when those conditions exclude oxygen and moisture. Preparation requires only hot water. Minimal resource requirement when fuel is constrained. Number 12, instant coffee. The shelf life difference between ground coffee and instant coffee isn't measured in months. It's measured in years. Ground coffee exposes its compounds to oxygen the moment it's ground. Oxidation begins immediately and runs continuously. Instant coffee is heat processed and dehydrated. Volatile compounds locked into a powder matrix that requires rehydration to release. Sealed away from oxygen, that matrix is stable for far
Longer. Research on freeze-dried coffee demonstrates flavor stability well beyond 5 years and properly sealed packaging. Move it into a vacuum-sealed container with an oxygen absorber to extend that further. The practical point is simple. Caffeine dependency doesn't pause during infrastructure failures. Instant coffee needs only hot water and a heat source. That simplicity is a genuine advantage when everything else is constrained. Number 11. Hard candy. Hard candy is almost entirely sucrosy in rigid crystalline form. Free water content sits below 2%, a level at which microbial growth is physically impossible. The problem in long-term storage isn't spoilage. It's hygroscopic absorption, ambient moisture gradually drawing into the sugar crystal structure, causing stickiness and eventual surface issues that properly sealed candy never experiences. Glass jars or vacuum-sealed bags with moisture absorbers keep it stable for years. Compact, energy-dense, zero preparation. In a scenario where everything feels resource-intensive, something delivering immediate energy with no preparation is more valuable than it appears in normal life. Number 10. White sugar. White sugar doesn't expire in any meaningful scientific sense. Pure crystalline compound. No organic matter for bacteria to metabolize. No fat to oxidize. No moisture for any biological process.
This is also why sugar functions as a preservative in jams, syrups, and cured products. It creates an environment that denies microbes the water activity they need. Sugar isn't just shelf-stable, it actively stabilizes other foods around it. The only problem humidity creates is clumping. Physical, not chemical, clumped sugar performs exactly the same when broken apart. Keep it sealed, dry, and away from strong-smelling substances. It absorbs ambient odors readily through its crystal structure. Number 9. Powdered milk. Milk is approximately 87% water. Remove that water and you remove almost every vector through which milk spoils. Non-fat dry milk in sealed airtight containers can remain nutritionally intact for up to 20 years. The fat removal is critical. Fat is what goes rancid, and eliminating it removes the primary degradation pathway entirely. Once opened, air and humidity begin degrading quality faster. The practical solution? Portion bulk supply into smaller sealed jars before long-term storage. This protects the main supply while giving you usable quantities for baking, cooking, cereal, and hot beverages. Calcium and protein remain stable across the full storage period. Number 8. Popcorn kernels.
Every popcorn kernel is a structurally sealed unit by design. The hard outer shell protects a small amount of internal moisture. That moisture emanates and the kiterbreezing that some things a cunyan sefernats. And ever bicorna quanste is a as the ficture qualities at the moishar. Compartment stepoi, 1 over mokelsier pictwillianomity, shupper winstrocks by rechar. When I store a revidet the department stepper. Every popcorn kernel is a structurally sealed unit by design. The hard outer shell protects a small amount of internal moisture. That moisture tips farper of pi as staper.
Vaporizes under high heat, creating the pressure that causes the kernel to rupture outward. The shell keeps it in and simultaneously keeps external contamination out. Humidity is the threat. If the shell is compromised through moisture exposure or physical cracking, the internal moisture escapes, the kernel can't pop, and it becomes vulnerable to mold. Sealed airtight glass jars with a silica desiccant packet away from temperature fluctuations. Under those conditions, popping corn has demonstrated viability for over a decade. It cooks fast, expands dramatically in volume, and delivers a solid whole grain nutritional profile. Number 7, canned meat. Commercially canned meat operates on a different preservation principle than everything else on this list. It isn't dried, salted, or fermented. It is sterilized, heat processed under pressure inside the sealed container, destroying existing microbial life, then hermetically sealed against any future contamination. The food inside hasn't just been protected, it's been rendered sterile and physically isolated. The USDA categorizes low-acid canned foods for optimal quality at 2 to 5 years, but the safety window extends considerably beyond that, as long as the seal remains intact. And that's the critical point. The condition of the can matters more than any date printed on it. Bulging
Indicates internal biological activity. Active leakage is a seal failure. Rust that penetrated the metal or significant denting near the seam, disqualifying conditions regardless of the date stamped on the lid. Label with purchase month. Rotate oldest forward and visually inspect before every use. Number 6. Dried lentils. Lentils solve a problem other long storage legumes don't. Speed. No soaking required. 20 to 30 minutes from dry to fully edible. When fuel is limited, gas shortages, rationed power. That's not a convenience. It's a meaningful practical edge. Dried beans can require several hours of sustained heat. Lentils don't. The nutritional profile is strong in isolation. Protein, fiber, iron, and folate in concentrations that make lentils a complete meal without supplemental ingredients. Water, heat, and lentils. That's it. Sealed in airtight containers with oxygen absorbers, kept cool and dark, they remain fully viable for years. Number 5. Dried beans. Dried beans represent some of the most nutritionally complete food available in any long-term storage format. Protein, fiber, complex carbohydrates, iron, and B vitamins, all in a compact, completely shelf-stable form. They last because they're reduced to extremely low moisture content and carry almost no fat. The absence of fat eliminates the rancidity pathway. The sit air and rescended kermenis. The absence of moisture eliminates the microbial pathway. Both failure mechanisms removed simultaneously. The original store packaging is the weakest point. Thin plastic bags offer no meaningful protection against humidity or pantry insects over extended periods. Move them into Myar with oxygen absorbers or sealed glass jars or food-grade buckets. Keep storage off concrete floors. Concrete transmits ground moisture into containers sitting directly on it. Very old beans may require extended soaking and longer cooking, but protein content and caloric value do not diminish with time. Number 4. Dried corn. Dried corn didn't just feed individual households, it kept entire civilizations alive.
not as a backup option, but as the primary caloric foundation for large populations across generations. Corn dries down hard once moisture content drops below the threshold where microbial activity is chemically possible. Spoilage stops almost entirely. The biological processes that destroy other foods cannot operate without water. Whole kernels outlast ground cornmeal because surface area determines oxidation rate. Stored whole, properly sealed, and free of insects, dried corn maintains viability for years, frequently extending to decades. Ground into meal, boiled whole, baked or popped, that preparation flexibility matters when
Variety sustains morale alongside nutrition. Number 3. Rolled oats. Rolled oats earn their position not just through shelf life, but through functional range, breakfast, baking ingredient, calorie-dense emergency meal with minimal preparation. Steel-cut oats extend that further. Less processing means greater structural stability and a longer storage window. The storage principle is straightforward but unforgiving. Humidity is the single point of failure. One container left slightly ajar in a kitchen with normal ambient moisture can compromise an entire batch within weeks, sealed in food-grade buckets with oxygen absorbers. Oats remain stable and fully usable for decades. Complex carbohydrates, dietary fiber, protein, and B vitamins, all intact across those timescales when storage conditions are maintained. One correct decision, years of reliable return. Number 2. White rice. White rice has fed more human beings across more centuries than arguably any other single food in history. That distinction isn't just about puffledundance, it's about chemistry. Milled to remove its outer bran layer, white rice loses the oils that cause rancidity. Brown rice fails within months in storage precisely because those bran oils oxidize and go stale. The same component that makes it nutritionally superior also makes it a
Storage liability. White rice doesn't carry that vulnerability. Sealed inside Myar bags with oxygen absorbers and kept in a cool, dark location, white rice stores for 25 to 30 years without meaningful degradation. The oxygen absorbers are non-negotiable. They reduce oxygen levels inside the bag to near zero, eliminating both oxidation and pest activity that would otherwise compromise the grain. A 25-pound bag represents weeks of caloric baseline for a household. It is the structural foundation on which a complete emergency food supply is built. Every other item on this list extends what rice provides, but rice is the base, the floor, the thing everything else builds on top of. Number 1, honey. Now, back to that sealed ceramic jar from 2007, 3,000 years in the ground, tucked alongside mummified remains and gold artifacts in an Egyptian burial chamber. The lab results came back and the team genuinely could not believe them. The substance inside was still chemically intact, still edible. After 3 millennia of sealed storage, it was honey. And here's what matters most about that finding. It was not the result of extraordinary preservation conditions or exceptional circumstances. It was the result of chemistry that honey simply has built into its composition that makes biological spoilage functionally impossible under normal sealed storage.
The mechanism isn't just one thing. It's several overlapping defenses operating simultaneously. Free water content in honey typically sits below 17%, well below the threshold required for microbial growth. Its pH ranges from approximately 3 to 4.5, creating an acid environment hostile to bacteria before they can even establish themselves. And raw honey contains hydrogen peroxide produced enzymatically by the bees themselves, which actively and continuously maintains that hostile environment inside the jar. There is no single vulnerability for spoilage organisms to exploit. Every pathway is closed by a different mechanism. The one storage rule that matters: keep moisture out. Water introduced into a honey jar locally dilutes the sugar concentration in that zone, which can allow fermentation to begin in that specific area. Tightly sealed container, cool location, that is the full extent of the maintenance requirement. if the honey crystallizes turning from liquid amber to a granular opaque solid that is not spoilage. It is a normal physical change driven by glucose crystallizing out of solution at cooler temperatures. Gently warm the jar below 40 degrees Cs, and it returns to clear liquid. Chemically, nothing has changed. 3,000 years in a sealed ceramic jar in an Egyptian burial chamber. And it was still fine. That is not just a remarkable historical footnote. That is
The standard that defines everything on this list, and the clearest proof that food and time don't always operate on the terms most people assume. Here's what all 30 of these foods share when you look at them together. Every one of them survives through one of a small number of chemical mechanisms. Extremely low moisture content that eliminates microbial activity. Extreme acidity that creates biologically hostile environments. Extreme sugar or salt concentration that denies microbes the water they need. High alcohol content that denatures microbial proteins, outright or pure mineral composition that provides no biological substrate of any kind. None require refrigeration. None require specialized equipment. Most require only airtight containers, a cool, dark location and protection from moisture and light. The single most common failure across this entire list is humidity, either ambient moisture degrading the food directly or compromised packaging, letting air and insects into a supply that was otherwise well protected. Almost every storage failure traces back to that one variable. The average household has 3 days. These 30 foods stored correctly build something categorically different. A food infrastructure that operates independently of supply chains, power grids, and retail availability. The foods exist right now. The storage